don't know. What's your opinion on that, Brandon?
I was in my head.
Oh, okay. My bad. My bad.
David, can you reread that? I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. So it's this is from 1 Timothy 2:11. It says, women should learn quietly and submissively. I do not let women teach men or have authority over them. Let them listen quietly, for God made Adam first, and afterward he made Eve. And it was not Adam who was deceived by Satan. The woman was deceived, and sin was the result. But women will be saved through childbearing, assuming they continue to live in faith, love, holiness, and modesty. What's your opinion on that, Brandon?
That's a deep one.
That's a deep one. You don't have to answer right now.
To be honest, I don't think I could answer right now.
Yeah,
That's something you really have to sit and kind of meditate on it.
Meditate on that one.
Think of stuff before you try to form something on that.
Dude, I was telling Brandon earlier this week, man. I got caught up in this in Timothy, man, like really hard, man. And it talks a lot about leadership. You know, it's some good stuff in here, man. Trying to find the here we go. Instructions about worship. And then it talks about leaders in the church. You know, it talks about all this stuff, man. And like, if I was telling my dad earlier, I was like, man, if I had a church, you know, I would want all the leaders that I have in my church to read Timothy, because it tells you how to be a leader. For instance, it says, this is a trustworthy saying. If someone aspires to be a church leader, he desires an honorable position. So a church leader must be a man whose life is above reproach. He must be faithful to his wife. He must exercise self-control, live wisely, and have a good reputation. He must enjoy having guests in his home, and he must be able to teach. He must not be a heavy drinker or be violent. He must be gentle, not quarrelsome, and not love money. He must manage his own family well, having children who respect and obey him. For if a man cannot manage his own household, how can he take care of God's church? A church leader must not be a new believer, because he might become proud, and the devil would cause him to fall. Also, people outside the church must speak well of him, so that he will not be disgraced and fall into the devil's trap. In the same way, deacons must be well respected and have integrity. They must not be heavy drinkers or be dishonest with the money. They must be committed to the mystery of the faith now revealed, and must live with a clear conscience. So I mean, there's some really good stuff right here in Timothy.
There's a lot of really good stuff.
I mean, this is just like, it's really just teaching you how to be a leader, you know? Let's see.
Yeah, I don't know about the heavy drinking part though. I'm just kidding.
I want to pick and choose like how I want to lead, you know? But this is really this is where the whole judgment comes in on like women wearing revealing clothing and stuff like that, because it says, in every place of worship, I want men to pray with holy hands lifted up to God, free from anger and controversy. And I want women to be modest in their appearance. They should wear decent and appropriate clothing and not draw attention to themselves by the way they fix their hair or wearing gold or pearls or expensive clothes. For women who claim to be devoted to God should make themselves attractive by the good things that they do. So I think emphasis on the good things that they do, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and I understand, you know, like women and men, you know, we want to look nice, but, you know, really what you're doing, you should put more of that focus on the good things that you do above of like, you know, if looking nice is taking you away from the good things that you do, and that's where it gets tricky. It's like, I'm not saying like don't look nice, don't have jewels and all that stuff, but if it's taking you away, and that's what you got to be careful of, right? I mean, how do you feel about that, B? I see you over there nodding, man. I don't know.
I agree with you.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. Most women or most people today, I don't know if they're devoted to God, right? So it sounds like it's a very specific message to those who claim to be godly. What about the people who are just like, they're not religious? They don't even consider that. Does that apply to them as well, or are they free to do whatever they want.
Well, no, I mean, I think it applies to everyone, but they're just not. They haven't became conscious to believing yet. And the good thing about scripture is that it gives you guidance, man. There's a manual for life right there. How to handle your finances, how to handle your marriage, how to handle how to love, how to forgive, how to think selflessly. I mean, all the answers are right there. And it's like, and we dance around and we get distracted by all these other things in life. And really the book of answers is right there. If you just read it, and as men, that's what we're supposed to be doing to lead our families. We're supposed to be reading scripture to lead our families. And then that's when the wife will be submissive. These days, women are not submissive to men because where are you getting your leadership from? It's like, I mean, like you want me to be a helper, but I don't want to help you, lead people astray. What's that? Go ahead, Sade. Go ahead.
What was that?
I don't want to do all the things.
Oh, in men?
What's all the things?
Here we go.
Wait, what do you mean? What are all the? Let's hear this.
Okay.
What's your list? It sounds like you got a list, but it's in a different area.
It is, like I have no problem, right, being submissive. Even the word I just. But I have no issue with allowing someone.
I think that's already an issue. Let's go backwards. Because she already feels a type of way about being submissive.
No, because submissive has, I feel like people take it out of context. Men in particular take it out of context.
They can.
As like, because I am a man and I, anatomy tells me I'm a man, that you are supposed to submit to me. And that's not how it should go.
I agree.
Like you said, like you need to... I want to be able to lead. I want to be able to follow you.
Yes.
I want a guy that I can trust with leading me. And, I have not found that yet. So that's the issue where I have. It's like, I will submit if I can trust that you are going to lead.
I like that. That is huge right there. I will submit if I can trust. If I can trust you. And how does she learn? How does she trust you?
Well, here's the thing. What do we call that? We call that conditional submission. Is that conditional femininity as well? Because I think a purely feminine person is submissive by nature, and so there's no conditions there. You just are, and it's not a weakness. It doesn't mean you have to bend over backwards for every person that asks you to do so, but showing feminine and submissive qualities up front will allow those men who are leaders, who are capable of doing that, to spot you easier, right? If you're not showing those qualities, those guys are not going to see that, and they're going to look elsewhere. So while you're putting conditions on your submission and femininity for the man to meet, the men that will meet that aren't seeing that in you right up front, and so they're probably moving on.
So that's interesting. I can agree that my submission is conditional, right? So I think everything goes back to childhood, right? And how you were raised. So my father was in my life, but he wasn't in the house, right? So I always saw my mom doing all the things, right? Like she was the financial provider. My dad also was a financial provider, but in the household, my mom cooked, cleaned, paid all the bill. She did all the. She was a mom and essentially a dad, right, within that household. So that's what I saw. So I can admit that I don't know how to. I'm still learning. Not that I don't know. I'm learning how to allow that feminine side of me to be more
more apparent.
Yeah, right? Because that's just not what I saw. I had to do things too. Like, so she raised me in that same way. Like, she taught me how to write a check. She taught me laundry and all these things that I needed to do. Also, like, being a protector to my younger siblings, being, not being as emotional. Like, even like when I wrote my book, my friends were like, who is this girl? Like, I was just never an openly emotional person, just because I always felt like vulnerability was a weakness. So I agree with what you're saying. It's just, what does that look like from a guy perspective? What does being submissive look like?
Good question. And I before I attempt to answer that, which I probably can't, I do want to say, you did say something, vulnerability as a weakness. That's the thing. I think it's a misconception that being vulnerable means you're weak. Actually, it takes strength to allow yourself to be vulnerable.
Yes.
So don't look at it as a weakness at all. It is a strength.
Yes.
And it's the number one strength that a truly feminine individual has.
Wow.
It's really powerful.
Yes.
It can get men to start wars over you, right? Men to take the lives of other men, to conquer nations. Your vulnerability and your femininity, men will fight for that. So it is a strength, it's a power, it's a superpower, and I think more women need to embrace that and utilize it, because that's what we want. And in the end, what you get out of it from us is what you ultimately want. You want us to be the providers and the protectors, and you want us to conquer the world for you. And you use that power of femininity, you will have that so quick,
Yo, Tom's on the edge of his seat over here. He's got something to say. Tom's got something to say.
I was just waiting here.
Yes.
No, but I think too, with what you're saying, I can understand that, because, in my younger years, any of that kind of vulnerability, I wouldn't put out there, because I want people to see that,
Yeah.
And now that I've gotten older and I've embraced that other side of me, and I'm in, I guess if you want to call it a healthy relationship, actually being that way has allowed me to have a much better, solid relationship with my partner than what I've ever had. So, like I said, it goes both ways, but it's definitely not a weakness. It actually makes you better.
Yes.
So, but
embrace vulnerability.
You just have to come to terms with it. It's probably one of the hardest things that I had to recognize about myself, because in my younger years, very stubborn, and
we all are.
But I was probably with exception. So it was either this or is that, and that's not the way to go about life. So, embrace it, put yourself out there, let that self that you don't expose shine, you'll find what you're looking for. That's for sure.
Quarantine. So I don't think you guys were in quarantine because you guys were in Florida, but New York, we were actually locked down. And so I was home and sat with a lot of my thoughts, and which is what produced Side Pieces. And after releasing that book, it was kind of like this weight was lifted, and I felt like I was able to be more transparent and more open and more vulnerable. So I've definitely gotten there, but it took, I'm 32, so it took a while for me to get there. But yeah, growing up, I definitely felt like being emotional, like my friends would describe me as very like unbothered emotionally. Like even when it came to men, it was very like, a little cold. But I now recognize that because I've been able to speak up more about how I feel, that I've gotten different results, and it's made me feel a lot stronger. It's made me feel empowered. So.
Yeah, and I totally get that you got to protect yourself, because there are those men out there that will take full advantage of it, and you'll end up getting burned or hurt, and so I get it. It just takes a certain level of discernment. Don't let those try to weed those guys out, or suss those guys out immediately, and don't give them access to your femininity, your vulnerability. And that's a difficult thing to do. I get it, because some men, they'll portray themselves as one thing, and then before you know it, they're another thing, and you feel like you've been taken advantage of. So you got to protect yourself. It's tough. It's a difficult balance. How do you balance vulnerability while still maintaining some self control, some self protection? I think it just takes a certain level of discernment and being able to spot those bad actors who come into your life who don't have your best interest at heart, and being able to tell them, you know what, walk away from those people. But you, at the same time, you still need to embrace your femininity, your vulnerability, and let that be who you are rather than who you can be for the right person. Like men, we got to be masculine all the time. We've got to be in our masculine frame pretty much 100% of the time. I can't go around saying, you know, I'm going to be masculine when I find the right feminine woman, right? Otherwise, I'm just going to, you know, I'll just be feminine or whatever it is. You know, I won't be masculine until I find the right woman. I can't say that as a man. I need to always be in my masculinity to the world so that, you know, I portray myself in a certain light, and the world, you know, gives me back what it is that I'm putting out. And so from a woman's perspective, a female perspective, if you want the world to give you back what you're putting out, you need to put out that feminine, vulnerable energy. The world will give you back exactly what it is that you need at that point, or what you want. And if you're looking for a masculine leader, you know, a provider and a protector of a man, you're more likely to find that if you're in your femininity all the time rather than conditionally.
Nice. I like that, man. That's beautiful. I also think that just to touch on what you guys were saying, if you want to get better people around you, you have to make better choices. And when you make better choices, you start to attract people that make better choices. So now you can be more open and trusting. And I mean, look at this room right here. You know, this is we talked about creating a safe place for our children to talk. Well, like, look at this right now. Better Gents is a room where it's a safe space. It's a safe space for people to talk, because we all are ultimately working on getting better, you know, and this is the type of people that, you know, you want to attract yourself to, you know, and I want to tell that to the audience as well, is like, you know, you want to surround yourself with people that want to grow. If they don't want to grow, then they're stuck. And, you know, if you want to grow, then you got to keep going, because, you know, they're telling you where they are. And you got to let go. You got to let go and let God. You got to trust, and I've been learning that as well. You know, it's been a process. Like, letting go it's a process. And everything that you do, any type of change that you're going to make in your life is a process. You have to understand that. You know, you're not going to be able to just make a switch like that. You know, like, it doesn't happen quick, you know, like cold turkey. You know, it's a process, right? Because even if you do it cold turkey, sometime it comes back up on you, you know, and then you got to do it again, you know, and which turns into a process, right? But I also wanted to touch on men being vulnerable, man. I really like that, man, because I think vulnerability is a way to grow. You know, we have to, you know, I like what you said about being masculine all the time, but we also, in these safe places, we have to be vulnerable, in which we are, right now, I think all of us are. We're kind of like showing where we've been wounded. We're showing our scars, you know, and when we're out in the street, and you know, of course, yeah, we got that masculine vibe,
right?
I'm good, because that's not a safe place, right?
Yeah.
But this is a safe place, man. You know, I got, you know, family and friends here, and guys I trust, which you went back to. Like, I trust these guys, man.
That's a good point. You know, putting yourself out there for the world to see, putting your message out there, your thoughts, that's vulnerable.
Yes.
You never know what you're going to get back.
Yeah.
You know, people could come back and say, you're idiots. What are you talking about? You stupid.
Absolutely.
Like the world, the internet especially, is a harsh place.
Cruel place.
So this is like, yeah, for sure. We are definitely vulnerable in what we're doing right now. But I believe in it so much that
Me too.
it's worth it. I don't
too.
care. I'm gonna put myself out there, and I'm gonna risk the ridicule and the harshness of the internet and whatever.
Yep.
Whatever comes my way. I feel like we're doing great things.
Dude, you got a team, and we're all gonna support each other, man. So like, whether people come at us or whatnot, we will communicate and figure out how to deal with those people together.
Oh yeah.
So I really believe in our team. We have a strong foundation. Like
we do.
Team.
Screw them. We're gonna do what we're doing.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
Now we're adding.
Come at me, bro.
Yes. And look.
Come at me, bro. We're doing good stuff.
There you go.
Putting our message out there.
Yeah.
Most people don't do anything. They never even try. So
yes.
Whatever. I feel good about it.
Yes, we're trying, and we're not perfect, but we're trying.
We're not at all.
We're just trying to touch up.
Trying to be better.
Yes.
That's it. That's the message. Be
Absolutely.
better.
Absolutely. Go ahead, B.
I just wanted to add to that when you're talking about vulnerability.
Hey, man, you got a deep voice, boy. I just want to add. Damn, Barry White up in here. Woo, dang. All right, my bad, man. Got you.
My voice doesn't sound that deep in person. Just I don't know what it is.
I don't know, dude.
He's good at good ass microphones.
Yo, bro, yeah, right. Shout out to Kenny right there.
But, you were talking about the importance of vulnerability, and I feel like, especially male vulnerability, and I feel like it's so important. I feel like, let's say if we're talking about the area of relationships, I think. Plenty of people around my wife here, Jennifer, plenty of people around us have, expressed the fact that they feel like, man, you guys are, y'all's relationship is so, your marriage is, it's so good. It's, such a healthy marriage. But I feel like vulnerability was probably one of the most important factors that got us to this point today.
Wow.
And I feel like without that vulnerability, like you mentioned it earlier, is I feel like when me and my wife talk about it, a lot of times we talk about it as exposing our landmines.
Oh wow.
These landmines have been placed there by things you've been through, stuff that's happened in your life. And there's so many times that especially early in our marriage, that something may have happened, my wife may have said something or done something that touched one of my landmines, and it takes some vulnerability, and I might have reacted wrong in that time, right? But it takes some vulnerability to come back to that moment and tell her, look, babe, this happened and this happened, and I reacted this way, but let me explain to you why. When that happened, it looked like this. It reminded me of this, and it took me here. And that's why I reacted to you the way I did, so wow. I think that was one of the biggest things that helped both of us progress, is vulnerability in both directions. I feel like it's a way to just outwardly express, like we said, your landmines, and where, and how to work around your landmines.
When you say a landmine, I'm thinking of like triggers.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of just straight right? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm everybody interprets things differently, but like, yeah, man, you just triggered something that, some trauma that I had from a past relationship, and I'm sorry, I'm sorry I took that out on you, babe. Like, man, that's huge, man. That is like such a huge piece of information for any relationship. To have that transparency, to take that accountability. And to say, man, I'm sorry, man. Like, no one wants to talk about an ex, right? And you have, but you both have to be open and understanding to be able to talk about that ex, because a lot of people, they'll try to bring up something about their ex, and the other person shuts down because they don't want to hear nothing about it at ex. But now you're missing a part of growth. You're blocking something that could be helped. So you both have to accept where you are. And you have to accept the past and what happened, because I think a lot of people don't think about the past relationships. They don't want to think about them. They don't want to think about someone else having relations with you, for per se, or you don't want to think about that stuff, right?
I feel like
so you just shut down, you block it, but it's that's not healthy. So what you're telling us is, you have to. you have to address those issues.
Mm-hmm.
That's a healthy way of handling it,
Mm-hmm.
is talking about your past relationships
Yeah.
and what triggered you in those past relationships.
And I think there's a lot of things that, especially that we dealt with early on, that so you end up with this kind of opposite, this flip-flop effect where there's certain things maybe you don't want to say, or you don't want to talk about, because you're afraid that the person that you're with, the person you're building a relationship with, will be upset about it or offended. But the thing is your overall long-term health of that relationship ends up helping that long-term relationship. But yeah, they might not like what you have to say.
Yeah.
And we did that a lot.
Yeah.
I know they're smiling. what I did, especially in our relationship, because I had a really colorful past, right? Real colorful.
That's a nice way to put it. That's a nice way to put it.
It's just a quick and easy way to sum that up, right? Just colorful, right? So, but what I did in the beginning in our relationship, because I knew I was serious. I knew I was definitely serious about it. And so to me, tomorrow was more important than today, right? So what I did was almost like kind of fillet myself out, and my history, like the good and the bad, because I don't want, if we're gonna build a life together, I don't want you to find out about, some things that I didn't talk to you about. Maybe there's some landmines that you run into, and maybe I just completely am triggered. But guess what? If I had shared where I've been and what's happened to me, you would already kind of, maybe you'd be stepping a little light when you get in there.
Nice.
Because you already know there's a landmine real close to that spot.
Be ginger. Yo,
I feel like a lot of people don't realize, they think that it's, like, oh, I don't want to talk about him with him or whatever, because it's just going to upset him, because he doesn't want to hear about none of that. Yeah. Well, to me, if the person you're with, especially somebody that you're considering spending the rest of your life with, if their own feelings are more important to them than getting to know you and your past and everything about you, you're probably not off to a good start, right? They're probably not even the right person for you, if you think about it.
Transparency. I mean, he was very, very, very transparent.
Is there any way to get that mic over there?
No, it isn't. It's not gonna reach very far. But
I'll try to project.
we can kind of hear you.
Okay.
Just him being transparent. It was
There you go.
very shocking. Like he said, he had a very colorful past, and so for me, it was like, oh my, okay, how do I? Let me just digest
Perfect.
it. And I had to tell him, really, I had to be honest with him and say, okay, give me a couple days. I just really thank you for the information.
Yeah.
Thank you for being transparent. I respect that, and I respect you for doing that. Give me some time to digest. And then can we revisit it? Can we talk about it once I've kind of digested all that you've shared with me? And that's how we've pretty much handled anything in our marriage. It's just been, both of us have been married before. We've had previous spouses, and so and in the first marriages, we both had our children in. We don't have any children together, but we raised our children together, and so it was so important and prevalent for us to know us in order to raise a healthy and to have a healthy environment for our children that would still needed to finish raising, and also for our marriage. The landmines, some of my landmines and my triggers were deep because of past abuse and being mistreated and neglect and whatever. And so there were times when I had to let him know, like, that didn't feel good. Like, I need a moment. I'm having a moment. And that's the other thing. Be true to yourself. If you're having a moment in the moment of the landmine or in the moment of the trigger, be honest. Don't lash out on them. Just be like, you know what? I need a moment. Just give me a moment. Let me collect myself. I just can't talk about this right now. It hit me a little deeper than I expected. I thought I was over that, or I thought, I had, worked through that, counseling wise. Just give me a moment. And I think for us, it has been so edifying, so rewarding to have had laid that foundation from the beginning, to have been so real with each other, even as sometimes as hurtful and as it was. Now it's like, oh, okay. Or if someone brings up, oh, well, I know Brandon from, okay, he's already told me about that. I already know about that. You don't need to go there. You
how
know?
Awesome! How awesome is that though, to be able to say, like, I already know about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's really what hurts a lot of relationships.
Absolutely.
Is like, oh
Absolutely.
man, babe, like,
why didn't you
tell
tell
me
me about that
yeah, and then like you finding out about something
from somebody else?
from somebody else. Oh, that's and I'm sure I've done that to so many people, man. So I mean, I'm just being transparent. I'm taking accountability, because I don't want to,
Right.
ever anybody to think that I'm like casting judgment on people, because I've done everything.
Well, I mean, so have we all.
Yes,
I mean,
we all have.
because we're all
Yes.
imperfect
Yep.
beings,
Yep.
and we're all striving to perfection. Once we get to perfection, we might as well go to heaven.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's, how can I be a better me?
Yes.
Not just for the person that I'm with, but for myself.
Yes.
But not just for myself, but the person I'm with, and our children, and our children's children.
Yeah.
So it's like, just because you were raised a certain way doesn't mean that that's the end all to end all when it comes to raising your children and having your family and seeing, marriages the way you saw them. Everybody, you can learn from it. We can learn from each other, and we can learn what not to do and what to do, and what worked for them may not work for us. But at the end of the day, let's keep it real between each other. And then we'll eventually see the fruits of our labor, and hopefully our children,
Which you guys are seeing already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've been married for 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And man, and it's like, just knowing you, and I think that's pretty much when we met, sis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 5 years ago, right?
Yeah,
Pretty much.
5.5.
So I've kind of, been around to watch the progress this whole time. I mean, not as much in the beginning as, these last couple years, like we've really gotten like closer. But man, like, just you guys are producing a lot of fruit, and and what you're doing with your company and how you guys move as husband and wife, man, is very powerful. I watched that, man, and I'm thankful to observe that, because like, those are tools that I'm going to be using in my future, and now, and like, you guys have counseled me, and you guys have helped me so much, in life, man. I just want to thank you guys. Like, you guys have been my angels. You came around and you guys have just, like, man, you're just such a huge part of my transformation, and I love you guys so much. Sis, like, you are an incredible woman, and like, I know there's like, I mean, everybody in this room right here, man, there is so many, God wants to do some amazing things with all of us, and I think that's why he put us together today. You know what I'm saying? He has a way of, the master architect, he has a way of making things happen. We've talked about coming on this show together and all that stuff, and he did it in his time. Like, you can't rush God. His timing is always perfect,
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. You can catch all of our episodes on YouTube and Spotify at Better Gents Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Better Gents Pod. Thank you, and take care.